Hey folks, that was Skillet's Awake and Alive, and that's what I am. Coming to you today with my brother Baz. Awesome dude. We got a couple topics to cover today. The first one is on Fidelitas. Those in the know understand what that means. It is imperative that you improve yourself. Your ancestors are watching and expect it. May, in troubled times, your aim be true. Your sword, axe, and blade find the weakness in your enemy's armor. You must move quick and briskly in attack and defense. Never betray or berate a brother. Never force your beliefs upon any other. Maintain the faith and fidelity entrusted upon you. Protect the weak and ignorant from the evils that you know are real. And always be steadfast and true. Honor your bonds. In this way, honor remains. Nothing will ever touch you but death. That being said, it's about fidelity. That was just my little intro to it. And fidelity is something, just like as they say, as I said earlier, when I was talking, honor your bonds. Your bonds of marriage, your bonds, your oaths. That's your bonds. That's your word. That's your balls. That's your ass and back. That's everything. And that's probably the premier, your friendships, your brothers, your sisters. These are real things. And with that being said, Baz, you heard exactly my intro. I would love to hear your thoughts, brother.
Yeah, how's it going, brother? You're all good?
Outstanding, brother. Outstanding.
Good little trip away?
Oh, yeah. Germany is always nice. You know how that is.
Yeah. Nice place. Yeah, just on like you say, what you were saying there, it was words to reflect on, and you can pick out parts of that, and you can apply to those, or how you live your life and things like that. And it's sort of a reoccurring theme that we speak on quite on a regular basis when we're doing our shows together. That it's honour that you've got to live by. I mean, there's those that live without honour, but it's a mark of who you are. You know, it's how you deal with yourself, how you deal with others, how you respect your oaths, your truths, your responsibilities, and things like that. You know, that comes down to fidelity. And if you keep those intact, then you set yourself in good stead, and those around you in good stead as well. Because again, it comes down to like what we've spoken about before, the mentorship and the leadership of how people perceive you. They can learn a lot about themselves as well, if you know what I mean. I mean, that's my thoughts on it.
Oh, I definitely agree. I mean, everything we talk about at all times are how it's not just the perception of you, but how you also understand yourself and your way of working through the minutia of bullshit in your life. That just happens to be the fact of the matter. You know, if you don't understand yourself, can anyone truly expect you, or can you expect to understand others? You know what I mean, brother?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, again, it's how you deal with those that break the truth and break the oaths as well. You know, that can test your own honor, your own oaths. You know, and I'm not saying in sort of like a friend and foe sort of way, as in you're fighting the enemy. It's those that you work with as well, those around you. That you've worked with people, I've worked with people that aren't as honest as they should be. That on the face of things live by a set of guidelines, but in reality have completely different agendas. And we there's one of those have come across our both of our scopes at one point in time where they claim to be one thing and then it turns out to be something completely different. And unfortunately, that person is sort of still close to our circle, if you know what I mean.
Yep.
And
Unfortunately.
and it's how you deal with that. It's you can only warn others, and it's how they take it. And again, if you've got a good set of honours and a good set of beliefs, you know, hopefully that they accept that your word is bond, like you said earlier. That
Oh
okay,
yeah.
if Shuff's telling me something, it's chances are it's gonna be factual. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's gonna be for the good of either myself, those in my circle, or our circle in general. That this person's a cunt, you know, or a piece of shit, or he or she are to be watched and kept at arm's length.
Well, we can always. I don't want to use his real name, but we both know who he is. This cat, what he called himself Viper. That was what he was going by, and an absolute tosser and a fraud, and you know, just a poser. And you know who I'm talking about, brother. I mean, we can talk about it using his little fake name he had, Viper, loser,
Yeah,
blowjob.
it was it was uh, it was comical. It was comical, but it was just how it came about, you know. And without going into sort of the intricacies of it, because we know the intricacies, and obviously those that listening don't. Um,
A few
it's
may.
just yeah, yeah, a few may. It's a fact that he was using people's names to gain traction and gain credibility with the rest of the group, uh, batting off the rest of the group against one another to try and create a rift so he could sort of solidify his place in the group, um, in the union. And it's strange to see that some of the group are still close with him, you know, and that's caused me to sort of like then put a barrier between myself and them because again you've got to then question other people's judgments. Then you know if all the evidence and it's based on fact is stacked up against this one person, and it's like what they've done. This is what they've done. This is what they've caused, and this could spiral way out of control. So I'm just as a friend, as a brother, as
Well,
a comrade, as a fellow traveller, I'm asking you just be mindful of him. And they're like, yeah, okay then. And then it's just taken completely just with a pinch of salt. And
well,
now they're quite embedded with this person. You know what I mean?
oh yeah. Well, I can tell you, I know a couple of them just keep him on to watch him and to screw with him. Honestly, but the funniest part about this, I'll get into a little bit of the weeds of my experience and how I sussed him out. Everybody had misgivings on this cat, and so I said, well, he's offering me a gig. I'm going to check it out. Well, that gig, it was good and bad. You know, most of the people, decent human beings, right? But he, I can only explain it as he was psychotic, I guess is the best way to explain this guy. And he had his own neurosis where he thought he was the end all be all badass when he wasn't. And he was taking and using my creds and saying they were his, and it was only through talking to people that I'm like, yeah, I did this, I did that, I did this. And they're like, he said he did that. He said he did that. And then I'd confront him, and he'd go, well, no, I didn't say that. You can talk to Baz, and Baz knows I didn't say that. And I'm like, okay, but I'm hearing it from people here. I'm not hearing it from Baz. And I called you up, remember? That was the fateful
Yeah.
day that I said, this dude's an ass clown. Uh, there was problems with the entire job. I'm not going to get into all the minutia of that bullshit, but like I said, it was just really odd how, sometimes people try to present themselves in a way they're not. And unfortunately, none of us feel like we have to. We're veterans. We know what each other did. We're honest about it, you know. The only time we were trying to trap him, I'll tell you this. I will tell you this. Me and my brother Breeze, you know he is. Uh, this dude's claiming this, that, and the other. Some weird job somewhere. I'm not getting into specifics of that thing either. But me and Breeze are like, dude, we're going to just say some outlandish shit and screw with him. Well, the problem is we were actually trying to get a guy in on another job, but dude was thinking because Vipe had called him and acted like this is the job he's talking about when we were trying to get a whole different job happening. And so we said some things that were off color and not real. And all of a sudden, that dude who wasn't a part of it, we should have briefed him before the phone call, but everybody was having some beers and we just wanted to try to suss him out, and we couldn't suss him out. That's why I had to actually go there. And but a bunch of people, this dude's like, he said this, and we're both laughing about it, like nobody's gonna believe that because we've told the truth. And all of a sudden, this moron created. Well, I can't say that guy was a moron. He just didn't know. It's on me. Me and Breezy, we should have told him what we were trying to do, trying to out old Vipey, and it took me having to go there and experience the bullshit I experienced. But yeah, that was a bad thing. That was a bad thing, and it's okay. Big boy rules. You buy the ticket, take the ride. You can't cry and complain about it. It's what it is, right, brother?
Yeah, yes, it surely is. It's sort of rough with the smooth, If you've gone down a path, you need to continue down that path at some point. It's like a point no return. Once things have been said, it's. I use the analogy, especially with my son. It's like toothpaste. Once you've squeezed it out, you can't put the fucker back in.
Damn straight.
It's so yeah. It's but it was good to catch him out. Because I mean, like you said, there he was using credentials, left, right, and centre to gain credibility. I mean, you heard some of the shite that he came out with in regards to me, as in he was running ops in the UK with me, and I'm just like, fucking,
Yep.
Obviously at that time I was still in the military. I'm like, why would the British military be running ops with some fucking arse clown from the middle of nowhere that claims to be this, that, and the other?
Right.
We've got our own people, very
Right.
highly fucking trained people to shit. We don't need some fucking random dude from Facebook. You know what I mean?
Right.
That goes by the name of some fucking snake. Piper. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it was goofy, dude.
Get real,
It was goofy. It was goofy. It was like when I worked with the UK people, Royal Military Policeman, Blackie. You know who I'm talking about. Anyways,
yeah.
We were in a combat zone, and it was a joint operation because we had to deal with Brits and Americans in the same spot. And they were like, that way the Queen's orders are followed, and that way the UCMJ is followed on the U.S. side as military policeman, right? He was a Royal MP. Anyways, the point being, it was hilarious what we did because the SOFA agreement kind of covered both of us. If a British military policeman had an altercation with an American, the British soldier couldn't go back on the American, and vice versa. So we both dealt with the other country's troops, and they never saw the other country's guy until we got him in the wagon if something was up. And that way, if a little bit of force had to be used, there was basically just your paperwork for your country, and then that would go to his provost marshal, Blackie's provost marshal. Let's say it was me doing it, which usually it was, and I would go to Blackie's PM. They were both in the same tent at that time, and they'd ask me about it, and I'd say, "This is what happened. This is what he did." And then, why didn't you deal with that, Blackie? Oh, well, I had to handle this other thing over here. There's always an excuse. In the same way with me, if something happened like that, and that way you didn't have to worry about ramifications of dealing with somebody. And that's honestly what we did. And it was a way to cover each other's ass, because it was not as stupid as it is today, but it was just starting to get stupid where, silliness could happen for nothing. You said something, and all of a sudden somebody took a slight to it. But it was the beginnings of this whole bullshit that we see that has metastasized into a cancer that neither of us understand. Right, brother?
Yeah, it's just spiraling out of control. You know what I mean? It's just, there's just so many issues now with the way things are going. It's like, which angle do you attack them at? It gets to the certain point where you just sit back and just think, fuck it, just go with the flow. And you just make that circle smaller, because you don't want a fuckery to start creeping in. Yeah.
No, I get it.
And affect how you live your life.
Did we actually find out? I saw one person, I think it was our brother from FB, talking about Soldier F. Did any of that finally get sussed out? It didn't look very promising on that one thing that our mutual friend asked us about. And we should probably bring that up, because I had another question from another guy, but I want to wait to deal with that one until towards the end. And I don't know what kind of time frame you have. I want to try to get this as short as possible so we can upload it and everybody can have both of us in the chat. Yeah. But also, I also want to do due diligence to both of them. And if there is an update on Soldier F and everything, that would be nice to know.
Well, one of them's actually being formally charged with murder, so he's going to actually have to appear in court. Again, it's just the left wing getting their own way, and it's going to come to a point where, if it starts spiraling, then either our new prime minister or someone from the royal household will just go, right, wait a minute, just fucking wait a minute. All these sort of fucking wasters from the Irish Republican Army, all guises of the Irish Republican Army, because the IRA isn't one's thing. You know what I mean? You had provisional IRA, they're the sort of main ones, and you had the official IRA, the continuity IRA. There was fucking loads of them, and then you had INLA, the Irish National Liberation Army. There was loads of little offshoots, and now you've got the 32 county sovereignty movement. It's just one big clusterfuck. And obviously then, if the provisional IRA turned around and said, okay, they did the actual official ceasefire, all they did then was just go on to one of the splinter groups, the continuity IRA, and it was the same guys, but then we're breaching the peace accord. We aren't breaching the ceasefire because we aren't operating under the guise of the provisional Irish Republican Army. We're completely different. And all it is a different name. They're the same cunts, but what happened is they were given what was called letters of comfort from our left-wing government at the time, basically saying, look, don't pick up any more weapons and take up armed conflict against the security forces of Northern Ireland or the security forces of Britain, and we won't come after you. Right. And obviously these letters of comfort were basically, don't take up arms with the IRA, provisional IRA. Now, half of these fucking idiots went, oh, okay, then looked into the fine print and went, nice one. As long as I don't do it under the auspice of PIRA, but I can do it under KIRA or IRA, whatever they want to, So these fuckers can't be touched, basically, because they've been given what is essentially a get-out-of-jail-free card. This letter, they're actually called letters of comfort, basically saying, look, it's over, go and live your life and we won't prosecute you down the line. that is something that we were afforded to as soldiers, including
Right.
myself. So I served in Northern Ireland a number of times. In total, I spent about 4 years there, on
Right.
operations, and then I actually lived there for a short period of time. Um, with I won't go into it. So
Right. Right.
basically, yeah, it's sort of a very one-sided um, ministerial justice fuck up, to be honest, and it's got a sour taste to it, and a lot of the veterans in the UK are up in arms about it, and
Yeah.
something will happen at some point
Keep
where somebody turns around and says this is fucking enough.
keep.
Prosecuting 70, 80-year-old
Yeah.
people when these fucking assholes. All they did was just pass on the torch, and it's still going on. It's
Yeah.
even worse now because of Brexit, and this sort of like
Bullshit.
looming,
Yeah.
this looming, or they're going to do a hard border at the Irish, what I
Keep
mean, between
keep
Northern
talking
Ireland.
about that for a second because I got to go grab something. Keep talking, and I'll be right back.
All right, dude. So this hard border sort of situation going on with the Republic of Ireland and Northern Ireland is quite a big deal. And now it's only a big deal for the sort of like Republicans, the nationalists of Northern Ireland, because they want Northern Ireland to be one island, whether you agree with that or not. But there is a large population of Northern Ireland that don't class themselves as English. They are from Northern Ireland. They class themselves as Irish, but they call themselves Ulstermen. They're from Northern Ireland, and they are predominantly Protestant. They are loyalists to the Crown or loyalists to the UK. They want to be part of Great Britain, and that's what all this big fight is
Right.
about. So to turn around and say, give Ireland back, you've also got to take into consideration some of these people don't want to be part of one island, and a hard border will create issues, but there's other way around it, and that's just something they need to fucking sort out. But if it does come to that, then there will be armed conflict in Northern Ireland again. And it's even happening now. There's people getting shot and killed to this day, but you just don't hear about it because of media blackouts. And it's not on anybody's radar,
Well,
It's not on anybody's radar.
you can't make the communists sound like communists, and we both know
Yeah,
the funding for the PIRA and all of it came from the IRA, and it's the same way here in America. You have ARA, which is sort of like your Sean Finn. It's the nice face, quote unquote, just like
mm,
how the CIA has USAID, United States aid, right? Um,
yeah,
that's the friendly face of the CIA. Sean Finn was a friendly face of PIRA,
yeah,
Provisional IRA. And over here we have anti-racist action, which is the friendly face, the professors, all the people that are giving the orders for Antifa doing street action. But see, the
yeah,
funny thing is, talking to the police and other people when I had to talk to them, and you know what it was about, um, to give them their little brief they wanted, which was meager because they didn't ask questions I'm not going to answer. But they don't even get that there was even a congresswoman from my state who was involved with ARA, and I'm not gonna to out her is to dox her, and then I would fall afoul of U.S. crime, U.S. criminal penalty. But this is the way it is. I know everybody who is ARA. They're a bunch of goofballs, but they're connected somehow. And the left will always cover the left. It's what the right has never learned to do, honestly. And that's my 2 cents on it. What's your thoughts?
yeah. It's a difficult one. I'll say, going back to my point, the easiest way to sum up the relationship between the IRA and Sinn Féin is Hezbollah and Hamas.
Yep.
You know, one's the political,
Yep.
one's the paramilitary wing or the
Yep.
terrorist wing. That's what
Yep.
they are. They are fucking
They're
terrorists.
fucking terrorists.
Um,
Yeah.
um, some classes and freedom fighters, but the terrorists, they blow fucking women and children up. You
Yeah.
know, and obviously Hezbollah and Hamas, Palestine has got a very sort of strong connection with the Irish Republican movement. Like
Yep.
you go into anywhere in Northern Ireland and you go into a Republican area, and you'll see the not just the tricolour, the Irish tricolour being flown, but also below it is the Palestinian flag because they've got that affiliation.
Well,
And it's very again the old communist values as well. The
yep.
IRS to some certain extent, you know.
It's the
So
same thing from that movie in the early '80s, Little Drummer Girl. And if you remember that one, you may or may not, from Hollywood.
can't
Yeah,
can't remember.
check it out sometime. It shows the tie between the IRA and Palestinians, but it also shows. I'm trying to relate it for Americans over here so they understand. ARA, just like Sean Finn, is the political action. Okay, they're the ones connected to the politicians. And who wouldn't want to be against anti-racist act or for anti-racist action, right? But then you get Antifa. Antifa are the street operators that basically are psychotic, drug users, this, that, and the other, and they can foment them into action. And it's only now people are realizing that the left is so connected to Hamas, Hezbollah, all that stuff. The reason for that is Ilhan Omar and the other woman, Toshiba Talib, I think it is. Anyways, I don't really care about her name. I don't care about either of them. They're both dorks. But the point is, they've made very anti-Semitic words. Now, is Israel a problem? I don't know. That's a different discussion. We're not going to dive into it here. But the fact remains, communists decided once Transjordan became Palestine, the Palestinian Authority under, what was his name? Shit. I can't think of the turban, not turban, but
Arafat,
the
Yasser
Arafat.
Arafat.
Yasser, yeah. Once it became Palestine, the ties to the PLO, which was also funded by the communists, became even closer. And you saw this again with the different movements in up in northern Iraq, Turkey, with the Kurds. They were fighting for a free Kurdistan and fighting against both the oh shoot,
Turks and Iraqis.
the Turks and the Iraqis. But the Iraqis at that point, this is under Obama, we were funding Al Qaeda Iraq, which they always said we weren't funding the bad ones. They even renamed the bad ones, which were still Al Qaeda, but they call them ISIS and ISIS and ISIS and whatever. They had ISIL and ISIS. Lord, my mind's not working today. So we're funding them under Obama and saying they're good because they're fighting against, and the Kurds had their communist fighting, and there were several Americans that were prosecuted because they were working for the communists and for the others that were in Kurds, because I think one guy displayed a RPG, and they said that was a weapon of mass destruction. Sorry, a weapon of mass destruction. This is a new definition. In America, the ATF decided certain weapons were now going to be considered weapons of mass destruction. They're not weapons of mass destruction. They're specific weapons designed to take out armor, and yes, they explode, whatever. But anyways, that's my own thoughts on it. But it's ridiculousness. They're all terrorists. And to try to divide it by political and by action groups is retarded, because if you do that, you're never going to solve the problem. And in my opinion, and you correct me if I'm wrong, I want you to, Baz, honestly, if you're not looking at both the political and the action groups, are you really fighting the war on terror?
you got to give both sort of your equal attention. Obviously, and it's different ways to fight both factions. Obviously, the
Right.
paramilitaries, the terrorists, like yada yada yada. Against those, you have to use military action
Right.
or equal paramilitary action.
Right.
Like with the Kurds, like to the Turks, the Kurds are terrorists. To us, the Peshmerga are a means to an end.
Freedom fighters. Right.
Yes, yeah. Now their beliefs don't align with our beliefs because they do hold some communist values. They are still Muslim or a derivative of Islam. But again, what you've got to think is, let's not be naive. We've been out there and we've trained these people. We've supplied these people,
Right.
and we're around with these people. Taking out, obviously, ISIS, IS, ISIL, whatever they want to call the fuck themselves this week. I
Right.
think there's only like 6 of them left up there anyway.
Yeah.
They've just gone to ground and gone elsewhere.
Well, since Trump came into office, he's done a very good job eliminating them. Imagine
Yeah.
that.
The has it gone away? No, because it's an ideology.
Right.
You can't really kill the ideology when it's so widespread. It's the ideology of the Mujahideen, the Jihad, the Islamic Brotherhood, the Al Qaeda, the fucking Al Qaeda in Iraq. You've got the ISIS, ISIL, IS. Then you've got obviously the Mahdi Army and
Yep.
all those fucking idiots. They're all the same fucking clowns,
Yep.
They just flit about. I mean, they're actually tourists. They've got nothing better to do than spread the seed of terror about. And again, it comes from let's be honest. A lot of them are Saudi trained and Saudi funded. A lot of them are trained by Iran. Obviously,
And
homegrown
Israel.
Iraq. Yeah,
I mean,
Israel, Russians, the
Yeah.
Brits, the Americans.
Yes.
At some point, we've all had our finger in this dirty fucking pot of soup.
Nobody's hands are clean. Right.
Exactly, and it's got to the point now where it's just such a big mess. You aren't gonna, you never. It's not going to be sorted out. It's not going to be sorted out. The only thing that's going to stop this is a revelation. And when I mean about revelation, it's as if Muhammad or God or Jesus or fucking Buddha or whoever comes to earth themselves and says,
Stop
"What
the
the fuck are
shit.
you lot doing?"
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Let's be honest. And I'm a militant atheist. It's just not going to happen.
Right.
It's it's everybody fighting over who's you know what I mean, whose Sky Daddy's the best at the end of the day. That's to the ground troop, in a jihad. He's not fighting for the billions of dollars. He's fighting because he wants his life back to the Stone Age because his Sky Fairy, Sky Daddy, his belief, his deity, his God is better than everybody else's.
Right.
It's when you go up the chain, when you start seeing these paymasters and the people that are making the decisions, they are educated people. They aren't these fucking idiots living in a cave in Afghanistan.
Right.
There are people that walk around in suits every day that have condos in New York, who've got condos in Dubai.
Yep.
The multimillionaires. Where did all those Hiluxes come from that we're cutting around in? All painted the same colour. They were gifted by some fucking rag-wearing dude in a cave in Afghanistan.
Right.
They were gifted by a nation or an organisation or individual that has got the funds, means and the logistics to able that. So that's the only way that you fight that is with equal paramilitary action or military action over military action. The other side of it is you've got to deal with it politically, and that's where it comes afoul because you have some strong-willed people like Trump, like Boris Johnson, trying to tidy up the mess left by others.
Right.
But again, they are fallible. They do make mistakes. Trump can't keep his fucking mouth closed on Twitter. You know what I mean? Boris Johnson lies through his fucking back teeth. It only takes sort of like that person, and what it needs is someone who can swing both ways, if you know what I mean. Who's both. Mattis for me was a fucking excellent leader, and he was the right man for the job. In my eyes, he was the right man for the job. Sec Def. he didn't agree with what Portis was doing because he kept running his mouth on Tinder and making decisions outside of that should have really gone to SecDef, but where really he was listening to other people. You know, I don't know the ins and outs of it all, but
I think you
it
meant
was
Twitter when you said Tinder. It wasn't
yeah,
Tinder, bro.
Tinder, Twitter, Tinder.
Hey,
You know
but
what I
that, you
mean?
know what? We had sheer comedy on that one, so that's awesome. Thanks, brother. Next thing you know, everybody's gonna be looking for Trump on Twitter or Tinder.
Swipe right. I fuck the president.
It'll be more Me Too's.
Hashtag, he grabbed my pussy.
Yeah, he grabbed him by the pussy.
But you know what I mean?
I do, brother.
Someone like Mattis
Yeah.
could have been put in charge of this. Instead of sending Trump out there, they could have sent Mattis. He's a bit more reserved, a bit more decorum, but again, he's knife handing cunts. Right, listen in. Look, I'm here as a politician. I can change caps and I can put on my fucking mad dog head, and I could just this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to send half of the Marine Corps, the fucking Navy SEALs, the ODAs, the Rangers, and we're just going to bulldoze you. And that's before we pick up the phone and get onto the Brits, onto the fucking onto the Australians and everywhere else we can fucking tap into, because you don't want that bringing upon you. You know, and maybe that's what it needs. This is the thing with Iran. It's saber rattling. Look, it's not going to be a localized conflict. And then, you know, Iran needs to look in and just say, just what the fuck are we doing? We're saber rattling. We're outside of our remit now. If it really went to it, Iran, either way, are not going to win this battle. It's going to be a lot harder. It's going to be a lot harder than it was with Afghanistan and Iraq, because now we're taking on and it winds me up when you jump onto Facebook and you go on to AMS DSS or whatever it's fucking called, or all these veteran sites, DV, like, let's bulldoze these motherfuckers and let's get our kit, let's get our gear and let's go. I'm just like, shut the fuck up. All you're wanting now is to see a lot more flag draped coffins, because there's going to be a lot more than was with Iraq, and a lot quickly. You're going to see thousands of flag draped coffins.
You know how I feel about that. I'm going to be very clear with you, brother. We're both old timers, old school dudes, right? And old campaigners. Let's call ourselves that. Can we agree with that term as having some validity, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Those that want to do that, honestly, it's not the nation doing that. Why don't they say, okay, cool, dudes. If you're a bunch of Harley riders, we'll put your Harleys, we'll give you a kit, we'll send you out there. You're going to be a new Special Forces, American or a British Foreign Legion, right? And without the politics getting into it, send them in. Let them go wreak havoc, because honestly, I think as long as they are clear, I was indoctrinated, and so were you probably, that we were the lowest rung of any kind of like ambassador to the U.S. and probably to the British. You guys are probably told the same thing. That the people are going to get a direct opinion of America or Britain because of your actions. As long as they are clear on that, and they're just, and they don't do bad things, the Iranians, for the most part, honestly, don't like the mullahs now. They're fed up. The youth, it's just like our millennials now here in America. That's why it's so hard to track them. You know, track their political beliefs, their true ideology. And it's because the media only pushes one narrative to the left. But there's been several studies that have shown that college Republicans are not talking their true feelings because they're afraid their grades will get hurt. And I'm sure it's the same way in England, in all your colleges. And so the point is, if they go over there and they act correctly, they come in on ships, however they get them over there, I don't care. And they just start circulating Trump and America England and Boris Johnson, or UK and Boris Johnson, have all got plausible. Those guys bought those ships themselves and went over there. And if they're fuckabouts and they get killed, good on them. I mean, honestly, I'm sick of these chicken hawks. They'll talk smack all day long until it's time to put their bacon in the fire.
Yeah, and it seems to be a certain demographic. It's usually the older guys, like
Right.
in the late 50s, early 60s, going, "Let's get out there, let's turn it into a glass car park." You
Right.
cannot fucking drop an atomic weapon on a nation anymore. Let's be honest,
Right.
it's not going to happen. The only
Well,
time that
it could
atomic
happen,
weapons are
but
going to be, yeah, but the only time an atomic weapon is going to get dropped on another nation is if an atomic weapon, chances are, is going to come into play somewhere down the line. You aren't
yeah.
going to drop a fucking atomic weapon on a country because they've blown up some fucking oil rigs in Saudi
No,
Arabia.
that's not going to
They're
happen.
fucking
Yeah,
real.
that's not.
And then they're
gonna
going, like, "Oh, let's put my kid on. Let's get out there." And I'm just like, "Mate, you're 65.
Right.
You weigh about fucking 300 pounds. You're walking around with an oxygen bottle,
Right.
and you struggle to tie your own shoelaces.
Right.
You aren't going to get any kit to fit you, and even if you do get to a ram, you're going to get smoked within the first fucking 5 minutes of being there. Chances are you're not even going to get there because someone's going to spirit you away in a taxi and behead you on the fucking internet. You ass clown. You know what I mean?
Well, I'll tell you a funny story. This happened in Germany, bro, and I'm 51. You ready to laugh your dick off at me? Everybody knows I had that lung infection in Afghanistan. I'm pretty much over it, but I was feeling it. And then I was very sedentary and drinking far too much in Germany. And finally, when I got to spend time with my bra, I was looking forward to it. We're going to go hiking. But I said, dude, hills, let's not do hills. Because I knew I'd moved my bag, and he heard it. It slammed down on the ground as we're coming down the fourth floor. That's where we were staying, on the fourth floor somewhere. Anyway, so it was a twist. The way it twisted kind of twinged my sciatica, my sciatic nerve. And I was like, as long as it's not uphill, I'm game for hiking. And then we start walking and we're going uphill, and I'm like, guy, I said it like probably 5 times. It was probably very annoying. I'm like, dude, this is nothing but uphill. But you know how it gets. Same thing in Afghanistan when I was working with the boys. I and I said, yeah, I'm bitching too much. Okay, fuck it, we're doing this. And they're like, well, we can go down here. And I'm like, no, let's continue on this path because I did want to see everything we were looking at. But I was bitching too much. This is where you got to be honest with yourself and others, what we were talking about earlier. And it was great. My bro was like, cool, so I'm humping, and they wanted to stop and look at stuff. A few places I stopped and looked at, but mostly I just kept walking because I was already in pain, and I'm like, if I stop,
You ain't going to start again.
yeah, I may not start again, but I did stop a couple of times. But the worst part was not going uphill, brother. I just knew what was coming because going downhill, you start scree running, even though you're not running. You got the rocks and the pebbles and shit. And every time my left leg fell down and moved further than I wanted it to, man, the pain was just marvelous, dude. It was lovely. And
You're an old cunt. You're an old cunt.
yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. I know my limitations. A man's got to know his limitations, and I do. And I just knew that. Oh shit! But I had a good day and I had a good time. It was one of the best days. But I also have to be honest. I was a cunt, and because 5 times I'm bitching. The only thing I can point to is basic training as a 17-year-old fucking mama's boy. I'm bitching. We're on a 12-mile hike, and afterwards, the drill sergeant fucking threw me through. We had swinging doors for the restroom, the head, whatever you guys want to call it, the latrine. Pushed me through it as I walked through the door, and Mike Platero, badass motherfucking drill sergeant, he gave me everything a 17-year-old needed to know. Pushed me up against the wall, and he said, you've had your head in your ass for however many weeks it was, And he said, I'm about to pull it out and beat the mortal fuck out of me. And it was because I'm complaining, oh, it's my back. And dude, I did it the whole time. 12 miles of that bullshit. Uh, so yeah, I think we did 6 or 5 roughly kilometers. And I was bitching like that, brah. And I only bitched like 5 times going up, and then I realized I'm being a cunt. And I said
Yeah.
it to him. I said, yeah, no, I'm not going to bitch no more. We're going to finish this. Let's go. And they're both like, what? I said,
You're allowed to now. You're allowed to bitch to a certain extent.
well, but I haven't ever done that since the time Platero pulled my head out my ass. But it was kind of embarrassing personally. But I was like, we're going to do this. But yeah, there's nothing but mountains where we're at. Dude, I did get a walk through the Black Forest. That was beautiful. Got to walk through several towns um, that I'd never been to, honestly. And, I was near a military base too, but I got to meet a lot of good German people. And, they were just really good people. And so I got no real complaints. I was just trying to give something for some more levity to try to keep this. I'm trying to keep the show more positive, light, and happy, and even to self-deprecation, right?
Yeah. You got to look in at yourself now and again and just think, look, maybe I'm gonna get a bit too old for this shit. I think that's one of the reasons I sort of like left the military. It's like, especially nowadays, it's a young man's game.
Yeah.
Like I say, and I've touched on it before, especially with the British military, because we're so small now. It's like every person has to be a warfighter. It's even the older guys that are doing the old real life support, as we'll call it, like the logistics side, and
Yep.
the old grizzled guys now aren't actually that old and grizzled. They're just younger and a lot fitter, but they just happen to be doing those jobs that the old grizzly ones that they used to do. So it was time for me to move on. It was just like, look, this is a young man's game now. You're slower. You've got a lot of steel in your body. You've got some that should be there, some that shouldn't be there.
Right.
You've put a bit of weight on. It's time to fucking go. And hand over that sort of scepter to the next guy that's faster, thinner, leaner. And,
Yep.
and can do the job. Probably not as well as you can do it because you've had the experience, you've had the time, both in peacetime and on operations. The nuances of the job, but it's you can't do it forever. At some point you've got to hang up the fucking boots and say,
well,
that's it.
well, that's why mentorism is so important. So you do pass down that knowledge. You maintain some institutional memory within the organization. I know you've done it. I've done it. Um, it's funny. I was telling somebody last night at my nephew's wedding. There was a guy back in the day. Not getting into names, I really can't on this one. But this guy's old dude in Afghanistan during the time, and the troops would all be worried. Well, got to hold up for the old man. Got to protect him. And that old son of a bitch would look back. It was hilarious. And look forward, as everybody's looking back at him, and he goes, keep walking, I'll catch up with you. The goddamn dogs and birds need to eat too if something happens to me. Don't worry if I have a fucking heart attack. And dude, honestly, I became that guy. I'm that guy where it's like, keep going. If you
Keep
walk
walking.
faster than me, I'll catch up. And then he'd catch up and he'd be like, okay. All fucked up, his legs is all fucked. He's a legend, dude. I'm not getting into his name. Anyway, so the point being is, I started pulling the same shit. I was like, hey, keep going, guys. Don't worry about me. I'll catch up. And
you're just doing risk here, eh?
yeah, he'd catch up, and they'd be like, well, we took our rest, man. Now we're going to move again. And he's like, okay, let's move. And I sort of felt that way in Germany. I was like, don't worry about me. I have a heart attack. And this is me in a friendly area. I didn't give a fuck. I'm like, the birds and dogs need to eat. Don't worry. You ain't got to worry about it. Report it later.
Yeah.
He didn't make that next rally point. Sorry, buddy. Old fucker.
Go back and get a kit.
Yeah, go back and separate my kit. Remember, he who dies with the most gear wins.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Also, it's probably already claimed.
Oh, I'm sure it is. I'm sure it is.
Yeah.
But
Good.
anyways, let's.
You had someone had asked some other questions.
Yeah. Yep. Okay, he
Do you
was
know
asking about
what?
basic. First question he asked was basic kit, and it was, what do I need for combat and operations? And what would you suggest for paramilitary operative groups, etc.? Best urban and desert camos. And we can delve down through these. The gentleman's name was Johannes. What weapons would you suggest or are essential? Plate carriers, anything extra, any advice you have? And I asked him, are you going to a high risk area? Have you served in the military? Weapons and systems, are you familiar with? And I was having very shit internet when this was going on. And he's like, no, I'm a beginner in combat, but I'm looking for top of the line gear. I'm training and learning. Mainly focused on insurgency and counterinsurgency, as well as urban and civilian combat operations involving. It mainly has to do with collapse and balkanization. Any good manuals would be great too. So that's pretty much what we're dealing with. He seems like a decent dude, but we can carry on and talk about that. Now, my
Yeah.
question was prescient. Are you going to a war zone?
Hmm.
High risk area, right? If you're not,
Again, it's all about what environment you're going into, isn't it?
right,
That's what's going to dictate at the end of the day whether it's going to be a planned
right,
environment, whereas it's like, say, if he's on about collapse, and I dare say by that he means he's collapse of society, infrastructure, government,
end of
where
rule of law, that kind of shit, yeah.
your zombie apocalypse type of fucking
Right,
deal, if you know what I mean.
right.
That sort of like zombie apocalypse or that type of scenario where there's just a vast lack of emergency services, yada yada yada. Then I think if it's that environment, then the thing that I'd say straight away is learn your environment. If it's where you're at, then it's going to be an advantage. If you're going somewhere where you don't, then it's hurdles straight away. But go on. You were speaking, brother. I'll let you lead on that one.
No, no, I was basically asking you to go in with the questions. That's why I read them all real quick. I spitfired them. If you want, I can redo it again.
No, we'll stick with the first one.
Okay.
It,
Kit, basic
in the
kit,
yeah,
basic
it's the
kit.
basic kit.
Yeah,
The
basic.
first thing you need, I'll dare say, and this is from sort of like the soldier side of it,
Right.
is get yourself a pair of decent boots,
Yep.
get yourself a decent day sack, rucksack, whatever you want to call it. That's the first thing that you're going to need: boots and a decent rucksack. And I'm not
And
talking all singing, all dancing. Come on.
and a great sleeping bag, one that's multi-seasonal.
Yeah,
And your
that's
filled mess, something to cook in, carry your water in, that kind of bullshit. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So, like say, the first two you need if you're going to be walking. Chances are you're going to be walking because there's going to be um, obviously a massive fucking influx of vehicles or a massive exodus of vehicles. So main sort of arterial routes are going to be pretty much a fucking no-go area.
Right.
Fuel's going to be very sort of like few and far between. It's going to be a commodity where people are going to be carrying out acts of violence for it. It's you know it's all singing, all dancing. If you live in Alaska, or if you live in the middle of the Rocky Mountains or somewhere like that, Appalachia, wherever, where you
Right.
don't really need to worry about massive arterial routes. But if you're living in a suburban area or an urban area, then chances are you're going to have to at some point go on foot. You're going to have
Yeah.
to go from A to B via fucking X-ray. Pair of
Well,
decent boots.
what we used
That,
to
that
call LPCs, leather personnel carriers,
personnel
those
carriers.
things
Yeah, we
around
use
your
the same.
boots. Yep.
Yeah. So it's up to you. whether you want to go military or whether you want to go off the shelf or COTS, commercial off the shelf. Personally, I walk around in. Well, I've got a pair of Caramors, I've got a pair of Merrills, I have a few pair of Merrills.
Yep.
My go-to boots are Merrills, Merrill Sawtooths or something like that. Merrill GTXs. Would I go for a military boot? Remember, military boots are the cheapest common denominator, to a certain extent.
The issued ones, right?
Yeah, they're going to need a lot more breaking in. They're going to be where you can buy some off the shelf that are waterproof, that are very robust, and tend not to need breaking in. Look at SF, okay? If you're going for the high range kit, okay, you can't go wrong by looking sort of like different nations, tier 1 units, neat SEALs, Delta, SAS, SBS, Grom, whoever, JTF2, and look at the kit they wear. Most of those run around in Solomon's, Caramors, or Merrills,
Yep.
As a generality. So you can't go wrong there, and you can pick them up at most outdoor stores or most sporting goods stores, if you know what I mean.
Well, the caramels I would replace in the U.S., just so we're having a discussion, with Red Wing. Red Wing makes a phenomenal boot. Rocky used to, but they're no longer made in Ohio or America. They're made in China. I've got a pair of High-Techs made in Korea. I bought them in Korea. I've had them resold 3 times. I used the waffle soling on the bottom of them. But yeah, a pair of Red Wings. Caramels are an English, I think, company. Just like Adidas, their military boots that they make for the Bundesgrundschutz, phenomenal boots. But specifically, if you're in America, Red Wing, and they call them Irish Setters, and they're Gore-Tex lined. They really do breathe even when wet, unlike Gore-Tex jackets and trousers. You know this. Once they're soaked, you're in a steam bath, right, Baz?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So a good pair of boots. Don't scrimp on boots.
Right.
If you're going for military boots, then get a boot that will suit your environment. Don't be getting say I see guys, because they look cool, walking around in jungle boots.
Yeah,
when bullshit. I was serving,
yeah.
Like guys cutting around in jungle boots in the Welsh mountains. You're gonna fucking suffer, mate, because those are full of holes to let water out. Now you're in the Welsh mountains. It's just letting water in. So if you're going to go for a military boot, pick a boot that will suit your environment. Don't go for an Arctic boot when you're running around in Arizona.
Right.
Same as don't go for a lightweight desert boot when you're walking around in the Northwest, in Oregon or places like that. A good rucksack. Again, a rucksack can be any type of rucksack. Now, all you've got to do is apply common sense to it now. Is you can have one the size of a house. Yeah, that means you've got lots of room to put kit in.
You're going to fill every bit of room.
Yeah. And you're going to walk around with it. You're walking around with a house on your back. That's going to reduce your mobility. It's going to increase your fatigue. It's going to increase your calorie intake. Remember, if it's collapsed now, food, as a society now, is we are very reliant on what we can pick up off a shelf. So going to be carrying a lot of that. If you're carrying a lot of kit, you're going to need more calories going in. More calories going in, you mean more food. More food needs you more calories. It's a vicious circle. Yep. So bigger bag, you're going to burn more energy. All it needs to be is something that you can get a good setup in, where you can put in a lightweight shelter, you can get a sleeping bag, some dry spares, a first aid kit, some water, probably more water than anything, and then your ancillary shit, a bit of ammunition, like yada yada yada. Dependent on where you're going to be operating. So a decent day sack. When I say common sense, I mean colours. If you're going to have a bright red day sack, you just paint a target on your back. This thing floating around, you can have all the ATACs or MTP or Digicam in the world. It's going to be useless if you're walking around with a fucking.
It's still a target.
Day sack.
Yeah. It's just like a red bag or an orange bag. You've painted a target, and especially a lot of, in my opinion, especially a lot of the gear. Now, a couple things, if you're using neutral colors like tan, black, brown, green, like an OD green, single color.
Yeah.
Not a lot of webbing, although I will say, because they're very slim line packs, I become a fan a while back. I mean, this is back, shit, what was it, 2012 or some shit, when I was in Afghanistan when we were bullshitting about it. Um, I'm trying to pull one of the bags out so I can remember the name. And folks, remember, a lot of this stuff I get given to me. Hazard 4. Their kit, they have a sling, just like Maxpedition. I'm fine with Maxpedition bags. They're sling bags. But they have I've got one of them. It's actually a rucksack with two, it's not a sling bag. I can't remember what they call it. Anyways, it doesn't matter. The point is, don't get the sling, get the one that's a rucksack. And it's hidden from the frontal view. And it's small enough to be a good 3-day pack if you pack it right. If you know, and that's another thing. Talk to military guys with experience and figure out how to sling. A lot of the stuff can be external. Everything doesn't have to be internal. Make sure to pack first your socks to the top, because that's what you're going to change most. They get wet, they're going to suck, and your feet will suck. Not necessarily an extra pair of boots, but at least an extra pair of good low-line tennis shoes or Merrells, not high tops, so your boots can dry while you're on the march. Your thoughts on that? My couple suggestions.
Yeah, it's again, it's a very personalised sort of. It's what you want to carry. And we've had this talk before that.
Yeah.
Even to this day, we always take far too much shit wherever we go.
Yes, we do.
If I know that I'm going to be on my feet all the time, chances are I'm not going to have a set base of operations. I'm going to be moving from one place to the other in a state of emergency or in a state of conflict. Then you've got to slim it down. It's like, what do I need? What would I like? What you need is what you need to take. What you like, it's look, you're fucking carrying it. If you want it, you're going to carry it.
What you like's a luxury.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've always thought the Camelback Motherload was a good ruck. Again, if you pack it right, it's also got an inbuilt Camelback, so you've got a very ergonomic water carrying system there anyway. There's quite a few out there on the market you can pick up off eBay. The Helicon Raccoon, that was always a good one. Cheaper than the animal one. There's a good few out there. The Warrior Pegasus is also a good one. But again, it's what you want. It's how big you want to carry it. So a good day sack, or what we call over here, or a rucksack, is always going to be a right choice. Then it comes down to what you're going to put in that. First of all, it doesn't matter where you're going to be operating. We aren't machines. You're going to need to rest at some point, and you don't need to sleep. And sleep will only keep you operating for as long as possible. You can operate hungry, you can operate thirsty. When you're operating tired, that's when your attention span starts to lack. Your situational awareness starts to wane off drastically. So you need a decent sleeping bag to be able to get a good night's sleep. Again, hit up eBay. People think cheap is bad. You can pick up a decent hammock for around about $20 off eBay. Get a decent hammock. Because again, they're small. They can be wrapped up. You're not talking like a camp bed or anything like that. It could be strapped between two George arms, two trees, whatever. Get a lightweight shelter. A good one is if you go on eBay, look at what we call ponchos. I know you don't call them ponchos. Your ponchos over there is something different. But one of the British Army ponchos, which is basically just a waterproof. I think it's about 8 foot by 8 foot piece of camouflage waterproof material that you get bungees with. If you've got a decent sleeping bag, a poncho, and a hammock, then you're laughing anywhere you go. And again, there's sleeping bag that's going to take up most room in your pack. Okay, so that needs to go to the bottom because you're going to be taking other things out on top of it. last thing you want to be doing is pulling out a sleeping bag every time you want to get to an energy bar or a spare pair of socks and things like that. Like what you said there, socks. You need socks, plenty of socks, good socks, like hiking socks and things like that. Not these like skinny, ankle high, fucking tennis socks. You want good sports socks or hiking socks. But what you've got to do is remember this stuff needs waterproofing, and you can get what we call canoe bags, where it's just a sausage bag made out of strengthened rubber that rolls up on the top, like the old sausage bags that we used to get issued.
Oh
It's
yeah,
like
I
it's like
have. We call them
yeah,
SEAL bags, SEAL bags,
yeah,
and I live by them. We used to get them in the military. They called them dry bags, but you have to constantly look. They're rubberized, or some of them almost seem like a plastic rubber, very bendable.
mm,
Um, but always look for pinholes, because pinholes, believe it or not, if you gotta go in water, this is something in the Marine Corps we learned, for fording a river, going in through the ocean, you're gonna get dunked. That means your entire ruck's gonna be wet. So anything not in a dry bag is gonna be wet unless you seal it right, number one, or unless there's pinholes. Pinholes, all of a sudden, all your dry socks are soaking wet.
yeah.
So that's something, like you said, you covered it on that aspect. Sleeping bags. Everybody made a lot of fun of Al Gore in Vietnam, and even I did back in the day with him. He had his like sleeping bag like slung over his rucksack. You can find a picture online, and you'll laugh your dick off or your pussy off. I don't know what sex you are, but what you'll find is he's got it slung over his back, and it looks like almost a cape on his rucksack, right? Well, it could have rained. Maybe he's trying to dry it off. It looks goofy as fuck, but if it's goofy and works,
It's
it's
not
not
goofy.
goofy. Right. So, it's hijinks during a political season, which is honestly hijinks. It's not meant to be, I guess it was meant to be disparaging during that political season. But in all honesty, think about things because you're going to want uh, quick dry shit, stuff that'll wool. If it's in the winter, I'm telling you, everybody will talk shit about this with uh, all the different styles of clothing you can get that are quick dry and stuff. That's fine. Get a set of them. But if you really want to stay warm when you're wet, wool is the only thing. I've never found anything that synthesizes staying dry when wet, or not staying dry, but staying warm when wet. If I'm wrong, Baz, you tell me the alternative. Plus, a poncho is our ponchos you just gotta sew up the center in America. They'll still be a basha. That's what you were talking about, right? A
Yeah, basher.
basha.
Yeah,
Yeah,
a
yeah.
basher. Yeah.
It'll still be a
Yes.
basha. You just got to sew it
Yeah.
up right and learn how to do that. But this is all field craft. And
Mm.
honestly, folks, you got to get out there and do a lot of field craft to learn how to do that. Now, with that being said, fill them in if I'm wrong on anything other than, if there's something other than wool that will keep you wet or keep you warm when wet.
I tell you what was really good that we used to use is the snug pack. The what we used to issue. I used to get a lot of them for the ODA guys and some of
I have
the
them, yeah.
Force Recon guys out in Afghanistan that were working with us. Was the our snug pack, what we call softy jackets. They're that microfiber stuff, really good. You put it on when you're wet and you're instantly warm. A bit like wool. It's that insulation. No, the only the what I think with microfiber over wool, it's fast drying. Where wool, once it's wet, it stays wet for quite a long time.
Right.
If you can't dry it out with a fire, and again, once you with fire, you need to be careful with wool as well because it shrinks badly.
Yes, it
But
does.
again, wool is an outstanding material when it comes to keeping warm.
Now, all
So
my
a good bit of dry kit, I tell you what else was good bit. I'll finish up on that one. Was we used to have a Russian company out in Afghanistan that used to do a lot of the airdrops. It was a private company, and they used to use the old Russian pattern camouflage parachutes. What we used to do was get the parachutes and get custom made out of like silk or synthetic silk, and get them made a really lightweight jacket out of them, because obviously it keeps the wind out. We used to use
Right.
windbreakers, and they can roll up smaller than a sock because it's silk.
Right.
If it's just look, I need to keep you not so much temperature, but you need to keep the wind away, the wind
Right.
chill. You just get one of those on, because again they're windproof. That was a good bit of kit. And again, you can either pick up sheets of silk or parachute silk off eBay, or you can buy them. You can actually buy these jackets as well. Or what were you saying?
Well, I have my parachute. I still have a reserve parachute that anyways, it is what it is. I'm not getting into it. But the point is, yeah, that material is super windproof, American material too. And probably the Russians stole it from us, or we stole it from them. In all honesty, it's probably stolen material either way. But you're exactly right. That is the silk that will keep the wind out. And it's I don't even know if it's a nylon. It may be whatever. Who knows? The point being is, parachute material is always good to keep you from getting the wind, and also great for building a basha, for building a shelter. Is it going to keep you completely dry? No, but angles do help. What I mean by that is, if you're making an A-frame and it's slanted down, most of the water is going to go down. You're still going to get the drips and be annoyed. But what I wanted to add was, when I said that about, oh shoot, and I don't have one of them near me. My sleeping bag I have is compressed. It's pretty much made, I think, of the same material that you're talking about, and that is the shit. Snell. No, it's not called that. Damn it! You were talking about the jackets. I wasn't
The
talking
sub
about.
pack.
Yeah. Snug pack. I don't have the jackets, but I do have the way below zero, like 35-degree below zero snug pack system. And I also have, and also I have some, and Americans don't really understand it, but that little sack you get in, that bivy sack,
The
if it's,
compression sack.
no, the bivy sack that you put over your sleeping bag if you don't have a shelter.
Oh yeah, a bivy bag. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's got that
bivy bag.
Gore-Tex bag.
Yeah. You're gonna
Outstanding bit
be,
of kit.
yeah, you're gonna be awesome with that. The Brits make one of the best ones. I have it. I was very fortunate at a surplus store in England to get one perfect, in perfect shape, and that's a good bit of kit. Added with Snug Pack, the minus 15 degrees Celsius. That's the basic. It's small, and it will dangle off that little Hazard 4 bag perfectly if you compress it right, and it'll
Yeah,
fit perfectly. So yes, that's some good bit of kit. But remember, if you're going to go below that, you're going to need a bigger bag, more
yeah. So
fill. You know what I'm saying.
yeah, you're gonna go sort of like Bergen size then, aren't you?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. So a good sleeping system, some good warm kit. Um, and just remember to keep it all dry. So you want to be double bagging it, what we call double bagging it. So you've got your canoe bag or your dry bag, and then in there, the best thing to do is, you can go to any grocery store or anything like that, is the zippy, with the plastic zips, the food bags. Is just get your socks in there, and the best thing to do with your socks as well is already put the talc in the socks. So get a bottle of talc, put it in the socks, give it a quick squeeze,
Yep.
roll your socks up nice and tight, put them in the zip bag, vacuum pack it, so squeeze all the air out, and then zip it up, and then you've got a ready to go spare pair of socks. And as any infantry or any soldier will tell you, that act of just putting on a pair of dry socks that have been talked, it's fucking life changing.
Super morale. Super
It's
morale.
yeah, morale in a bag, morale in a bag.
Yes, yes.
Um, so you want to be sort of waterproofing everything individually. Don't just put another bag in there. It's because if one thing gets wet, everything fucking gets wet. So you've got your rucksack, your day sack, which tend to be pretty much waterproof anyway or water resistant. Then your dry bag. Again, when in there, you want to be individually wrapping your equipment. Okay.
Including anything that's electronic,
Mm.
anything that you really need, like a sat phone. Um, it's all sub wrapping. And honestly, if you can
Yep.
get a what do they call those, brother, where they suck out all the oxygen and
Oh
shrink
yeah,
wrap?
it's like a vacuum bag.
Yeah.
I've seen them. You use your vacuum, don't you, to suck it all out?
Oh yeah. And that
Yeah.
way you have all your kit there, and put your survival kit in that too. I
Mm.
mean, you want anything, and a survival kit should be very small. We're gonna go over that one time on E&E kits and stuff. Uh, I really want to do a show on that with you on this. But anyway, so that's the very basic, along with the USGI um, cooking kit, which is just their mess kit. It's like oval. England has a different version, um, but that a canteen. It does not have to be metal. It can be plastic to gather the water and everything. Make sure to have enough decontaminants to what do they call those, purification tabs.
Yeah,
You want to have,
iodine tablets.
yeah, iodine tablets. You want to have enough of those to purify for a while, but realize you're going to also have to have a nesting container. And I also suggest these besides the canteen cup. Besides the canteen top, there was a place called the Canteen Shop in Ohio. It may or may not still be in existence, but you could get all this kit and braid line and a bunch of different things. But the point was, you can find it, and then you just have a canteen. You're able to boil the water, and as long as you go past, I think it's 185 degrees, which is less than what they suggest, but 185 kills all the bacteria. And you can put it in a plastic. It's not a problem. The plastic of a canteen, even if it's a collapsible one, it's not going to leak out. It's not going to burn through, be too hot. That's what I meant by that. That's fine. Uh, but yeah, nesting cups on anything you have, so that you still have a little pack of your stuff. Plus, Germany created during, I can't remember if it was the First World War or the Second World War. I think it was the first when they actually started doing it. The Esbit stoves. They're real small. They have their own little fuel. It's trioxane, and you can cook anything in it out of your canteen cup or something bigger. And there's military knife, fork, and spoon. You can find smaller ones from Coghlan's. You can find smaller ones with some knives. Usually they're real cheap ones. Um, Walmart, you could probably find them. But there's a lot of options out there for you folks. And that's really the key. What are your thoughts?
Yeah. One thing I will definitely say, and you'll probably agree with me on this, the most essential bit of kit that I've had over a 25-year military career and beyond is a shamag. You know,
Hell yeah.
the checkered, it's an Arabian bit of kit.
Yeah.
Basically, what we wear around our necks. The uses for that, there's a list, and it's just not exhaustive. It can be used, one, to keep you warm, because it goes around your neck and it goes down your chest. It keeps you nice and warm. It can be used as a tourniquet, as a dressing. It
Yep.
can be used to even put over your head when it's sunny, or to keep the light off if you're going to get your head down, you're going to go to sleep. You can put it up around your face and wet it if there's smoke and fumes.
Yep.
This bit of kit it's an essential. And when I was getting young soldiers in, brand new from obviously straight out of training, and they'd look at me, even when I was sort of a junior NCO, moving up to senior NCO and beyond. They used to say, right, what kit should I buy? And the first thing I'd tell them to get was a shamag. You need a shamag. Because a lot of the time, you don't need to put your warm kit on. You put your shamag up and you sort it out around your chest. And it's as long as your core of your body's warm, and you aren't losing heat out your neck and things like that, and you've got
In
a
your
good hat
head.
on.
Right.
Yeah, and you've got a decent woolly hat on, then you're laughing. So a shamag is a definite. That should be one of the top 10 bits of kit that you need.
And they make a watch cap, woolly hat with some Gore-Tex impregnated in them. So,
Yeah,
but here's the thing. Same thing. I'll go back to. At least there's some gap in it, because at least you're not going to sweat to death. Because we both can tell you, when Gore-Tex gets soaked, you will sweat, because there's no more of the small vapor leaving until it dries.
yeah. It's not wicking sweat away anymore.
Yeah, yeah. You're gonna steam in your own juices, and that's okay. The schmog's awesome. There's also some, and I suggest it to everybody. I have them, bandanas. I've got like 5 bandanas, and each one of them are printed with things on it, like fire starting, navigation, this, that, and the other, different things. Because people don't understand, in extreme cold or extreme hot, you and I both understand this intimately, your mind starts to slip. You'll forget things. And I don't care how young you are, once you are in hypothermia, or you are going into heat exhaustion, your mind will start to forget things. And these things have printed on them. You can find them online, folks. You can find them on eBay. These bandanas, they have it already on there. And that's what you want. You want something that's already on there, so it can be a reminder. Let's say you forgot about something. Well, you're looking at it and it's in big print. Your eyes may be dilating and not being able to see fine line detail. So that's my suggestion also. Your thoughts?
Yeah, certainly. We used to carry, so we used to wear all shamags. Even in the jungle, we used to wear shamags, but like, just a lighter version. And we'd have like a bandana or a neckerchief wrapped around our
Right.
wrist, again, just to act as a sweat rag. Because if you're sweating as well, even when it's cold because of exertion and things like that, all sweat's doing is robbing your body of heat. So again, you need to keep it dry even in the cold. You need to
Yep.
keep. Yeah, I mean this again, it's a non-exhaustive list that we could go on to here, and we've only answered probably maybe one questions. We've not touched on any other really.
Yeah, we've just hit the
About
basics.
firearms and things like that. So again, I think what we'll do, brother, will it the rest of Giannis's questions probably on another show, because
Johans, yeah.
to do it justice, I would dare say we need to go into it to a bit more, because if people are asking questions, then at least we can do is answer them.
Well, we have to. We are the most interactive program on YouTube, and I will answer all of Johan's questions. Have no issues with that. What we'll do is, you're probably got to bounce, and that's cool. I have all the questions. I will make sure we get to them, Johans. This was just your basic kit questions.
Bit of a shopping list.
Yeah, your shopping list. And don't think you have to be expensive on this. You can buy stuff from Walmart. The matches, waterproof matches, perfectly fine. The wet fire things, those are great. Okay, they're small. They're in a little plastic tube that's hardened. Just make sure to take out the striker so it doesn't get wet.
Pack it with cotton wool.
Yeah, pack it with some cotton. Hey, if you want to, I'll tell you what. If you're a smoker, take the butts off your cigarettes. I don't smoke butts and cigarettes, so I save them. I just rip them off because I use Smoke Lucky Strike and Pall Mall. Um, and what I do is I'll give you guys a recipe right now. It's super easy. Uh, you get some wax, like you do for canning, sealing wax. You get that, and you simmer it over a stove at low heat. Then you get yourself some of that torch. It's against bugs. It's that oil. You use it for burning your torches. If you don't know what I mean, look it up. I can't think of the name of the damn shit right
Kerosene.
now.
Is it kerosene?
No, it's not kerosene. No, you don't want to use kerosene. It's
What about to say?
for bugs. For bugs.
Oh,
It's
I know what you mean. I know what you
yeah,
mean.
yeah. You'll find it. It keeps the bugs away when you burn it. Anyways, turn it down real quick. Add some of that in there. When I say turn it down, I mean turn it off. Then start stirring it. And hopefully, if you have, it's best to do it with an electric stove, not a gas stove. And put very slight heat to it. And make sure none of it's on the side to catch. So you put electric heat to it, hopefully. You can do it with gas, but it's more risky, okay? A gas heat. And then you just keep mixing it. Then you dump, like I said, very, very slight heat. You just want to keep it so it's not solid. You start dumping the cigarette butts, or if your wife is using these cotton face things, the scrubber face, you put those pads in there. Cipernella,
Citronella. Citronella. That's
Citronella.
it.
That's the oil you use, and you use just a little bit. Anyway, so mix it all up good, and then you start dipping it. Pull it out with a what do you call it? A spoon that has holes in it. Make sure the holes stay clear, so you can try to drain as much as you can. Then you put them on paper towels to dry. And those things are great fire starters, cigarette butts. And same with the wife's facial mask things. Separate them. Don't keep them together. Don't let them clump. Let them drain into those towels, those paper towels. And you continue to do that. And then you can make small little kits. You can put them in your shoes, in your socks, wherever. It's not going to feel too funky. But you always have something to start a fire if something goes bad. And easy one, other than I was talking to my bros in Germany while I was there. I was showing them these pine trees that had fallen. Some of the stumps are there, and I was showing them where there's something that we sell here in America. I don't know if you guys sell it over there, brother, but it's pine trees, and what they do is they take what's below ground, as long as it's solid, and you just process it into small shards. And you're getting the most pure fire. If you're in the U.S., you can get something called, they use it to make, you have root beer that they make out of whatever it is for root beer. I don't know. But there's also a beer that they make. It's not a beer, drinking beer to get you drunk. It's soda. But they also make, hold on one sec. Dear, what's the name of that wood that we use? And they also make soda out of it. What's the name of that? It's not root beer. It's the wood we use to make a hot fire. Sassafras. Sassafras. Sassafras wood.
Sarsaparilla.
Yeah, exactly. Sassafras beer, sarsaparilla, same thing. So get yourself some sassafras, and it's mined the same way. You want to get all the oils towards the bottom. If it's dead, you pull it out, you process it, and we call it fat wood in the U.S. Now, the sassafras burns way hotter, way quicker than the pine. So those two animals you want to look at. Let's cover real quick best urban and desert camo. Best
Again,
urban.
it's best urban. You can go down the lines of like camouflage patterns, yada yada yada. But I think when it comes down to it, if you're going to be going off the shelf that can be replaced easy, you're going to be going something that's hard wearing, some rugged cargo pant or something like that. You can't
Right.
go wrong with just a grey cargo pant. You
Yep.
know what I mean? I've got a pair upstairs,
Right.
and you know it's if it's grey, it's obviously not going to be contrast. Again, you can go for black, but again, black's all right at night and things like that.
Yep.
But black stands out. So just a grey pant or off olive green pant, something like that,
Yep.
to blend in. Again, something that's going to be hard wearing with the leg pockets. Not too many leg pockets. Again,
Right.
what we call mat pockets, just on the side of your thighs and things like
Right.
that. Something that's fit, loose, comfortable. Yeah,
Yep.
that's what I'd go for. I won't worry too much about camouflage and the likes like that because chances are these things are going to get dirty anyway.
Oh yeah.
So why bother forking out for camouflage when you're going to
Camouflage
get
is going to happen.
yeah, it's going to happen anyway.
Yeah.
So and again for desert cam, any sort of tan, beige cargo pant. Again, you can't go far wrong. And it goes for any sort of environment you're in, as long as what you're wearing isn't contrasting with the surrounding
Environment.
environment and what you've got. It fits, it's comfortable, and effective. As in, it's got pockets that you can put shit in. It's not going to just catch and rip, or once it's wet, it's going to remain wet for weeks and weeks and weeks because you're moving around and it's just a wet season and things like that. Something that can be dried easily.
Yeah.
That's what I'd say.
Yeah. Ripstop nylon's fine. Uh, Same with the old parachute pants from the 80s. Remember them, brother? But
Yeah,
um, if you want to wear skinny jeans for urban, that's fine. But a lot of people don't wear belts. Have yourself a belt. There's several companies that make like shit you can hide in a belt. Okay,
yeah,
I can't think of them now, but you guys can look them up. Um, all kinds of companies that make these, or they're useful. They're like a multi-tool. And same with shirts. You want pockets in your shirts. Look at the Dave. I can't think of that dude's name. Dave. He's from Ohio, dude, and I can't even think of it. Black dude. Not the latest one where he's wearing a flight suit. He's a comedian.
Dave,
He's
not Dave Chappelle.
Dave Chappelle. That's it. His the one before that one, he's wearing like it almost looks military. He's got a couple pockets on it, something like that. But keep it matte. Keep it matte. Matte meaning no shine. Um, Always keep a cork with you if you need to black your face up or your arms or fingers or whatever. Any skin exposed. If it's that big an issue and you got to be concealed, it also looks like dirt. Burn it and rub that charcoal on you after it cools down. Don't do it while it's still hot. Trust me on that. Um, so yeah, that's good to darken yourself up. If somebody comes across you after natural sweat, you'll just look like you were working, or you're a vagrant. And disappear in vagrant areas. Be the vagrant. You know, if I was in Ohio and I wanted to disappear, I'd go to a college area and look like a vagrant, shit in the streets. Not really, but you know that's how I'd look. Um, Type of backpack then would probably be something I just sling over my shoulder and look like all my gear's in there, but I'd look like every other vagrant there. You also have to remember that people tend to understand and know who are the vagrants in that area. So you have to be cognizant of that. We'll talk about preparation of a vehicle, but that's urban. Desert in America. Six color desert camouflage pattern is the best when you're out west. Uh, Three color, not so much. The Marine Corps color can be. It just depends on the area, like dunes. But 6-color is pretty much every desert from California, parts of Arizona. Arizona has, and New Mexico also, 3-color will work. But 6-color is probably the best for desert, just to finish out the last thing. But also, if you're going into an area that happens to be now Middle Eastern, if you're going to Saudi Arabia, pink. I would tell you go find a straight up almost Pink Panther color because of the mirage effect. Pink disappears. I saw it in action. Um, when we landed in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, the RAF, all their Hummers were painted Pink Panther pink. And I was laughing at this fucker as we got off the jet. And he drove away, and about 150 yards away from me, with the mirage effect, he disappeared. You have to think about this, folks. So it's where you're going. That's why we've been saying it's where you're going, what area. And anyway, so that's my 2 thoughts on that. What's your thoughts, brother?
Yeah, I'm not really one for camouflage, as in camouflage sort of
Right, me
patterns.
either. Me either.
It's thing. If you're going to be sort of an urban, suburban, um,
Fit in.
sort of woodland environment, you know what I mean. You're going to be in and out, in and out, in and out. Then there's different lines of cam out there.
Yep.
There's a real good jacket on the market at the minute. I'm trying to think of the website. I think there's a website called Military First or something like that. And they do. Have you ever seen that ATAX camouflage pattern?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you know the old M65 jackets that they used to have in Vietnam? They actually do an ATAX M65, and it's got the pockets and all that, and it's just a really fucking good jacket. And that's probably the only sort of like camouflage jacket I would go for.
It doesn't even really look like camouflage. It just looks like patterns. Yeah.
Yeah,
I get it.
I'd go for an M65 ATAX jacket. Again, if you want, it's going to keep you camouflage. You've got the pockets. It's got the high collar, so you can put it up with a good hat, with a shamag, and a good set of gloves. Then you're laughing. You need much else. Yeah, so I think that's on that one, mate. I think
we've covered those 2 things, and we can go back to basic, and we can go back to everything else, because you asked for a list, and I am the most interactive YouTube thing, and if somebody asks questions, I'll give you the best that I can to my ability, and I'm not going to give you a short shrift. But also there are time constraints. So you have gotten as much as we can give today, because I know Baz has things to do, so do I. And honestly, thank you very much, Baz. We'll carry on with this the next time, because you're in my wheelhouse. And we will make sure that this ship stays going straight forward and moving on. Good?
Good, brother.
All right, brother. With that being said, I want to thank all of you for stopping by Kaiser's Castle. I'll make sure to keep those pictures for the next one, because we are going to do what society looks like when it collapses. And all you people in your sticky, wet, masturbational fantasies that think you know what it looks like, you honestly don't. Baz, do you know what it looks like?
I've seen what happens when the shit hits a fan, and you've just got to look at certain places across the globe where we've been, and these sticky, wet fantasies just aren't a realism, you know.
Right.
And again, it's something that we can touch on in the future.
We will. We will touch on that. Much love, and honestly, folks, I will tell you, thank you for stopping by Kaiser's Castle, sitting on my big orange chair, or my big orange couch, drinking your adult libation, your coffee, tea, or soda. And with that being said, shove out.